Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Fed Commonality Youth YouTube channel. Our guest speaker today is Professor Dr. Bulent Aydogan. Dr. Aydogan is an associate professor and director of medical physics at the University of Chicago Pritzker School of Medicine. He also is an affiliated faculty and chief of medical physics at the University of Illinois at Chicago. Dr. Aydogan obtained his bachelor's degree in engineering physics from the Middle East Technical University in Turkey, master's degree in nuclear engineering from the University of Tennessee, and PhD in medical physics from the University of Florida in 2001. Dr. Aydogan's expertise and research interests include development of theranostic nanoparticles and personalized cancer treatment techniques, developments and implementation of clinical cancer treatment techniques, specifically for advanced hematological malignancies in adult and pediatric patients. He has patented his recent invention, a theranostic nanoparticle, to target and treat cancer precisely and effectively, and currently testing it in animals. Dr. Aydogan developed several treatment techniques to improve cancer treatments in patients with blood cancers like leukemia, and currently treating patients under phase 1 and 2 clinical trials to demonstrate efficacy. Dr. Aydogan, with his diverse scientific and educational background, is a sought-after speaker for international and national meetings. He co-organized 5 national and international meetings and delivered more than 50 invited talks. He has over 40 peer-reviewed publications, 9 book chapters, and 1 book titled Precision Radiation Oncology. He has received over $1 million in grants for active research projects from NIH, American Cancer Society, and industry. He has a profound interest in professional education and learning. He has served as a director of educational programs for professional medical physics and oncology societies and helped improve the learning experience of professionals and students. He's an avid learner and has keen interest in the secrets of how our body works and healthy and productive lifestyles. He has given various lectures on the topic to increase its awareness. Without further ado, let's start the presentation, Mr. Aydogan.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction, and good evening to everyone, at least in Chicago. And then I know that many of you guys are attending from all over the world, and so welcome. So I would like to start my presentation today with a hadith from the Prophet Muhammad SAW. There are 2 blessings which many people waste, and then those are, as you might know, are health and time. And today, hopefully, we will learn how we can increase our health, and by that, we are hoping that we can not waste our time, but also, make it the best use of our time by learning how we can increase or improve our health. So first of all, especially as youth, we all take our health as granted, but we should not forget that good health ensures independence, security, and productivity. Unfortunately, today millions struggle every day with health issues because of our choices. And then many of the chronic diseases, autoimmune diseases, and mental health issues shorten our life and reduce the quality of our life. This is actually an alarming article that I have recently read. It seems like the millennials, our young generations, are sicker and poorer than prior generations. And then this is really alarming. In another report that I read, if we go at this speed, meaning that the disease getting younger and younger in our generations, we are going to be actually soon having a very bad experiences. In the past, as you know, it is custom that we generally bury our ancestors, our fathers, grandfathers. And however, with the diseases, especially chronic diseases, getting into the younger generations much faster, it seems like, like father and mothers, which is the worst thing that can happen, actually, they're going to be burying their kids. Because, the way that, the lifestyle that we are giving to our kids, our youth, actually, they're shortening their lifespan. So, for instance, to give you an example, diabetes is one of these chronic diseases cause heart attack, stroke, and cancer. Affects only 12.2 million Americans aged 60 and plus. But however, another 57 million Americans age 20 have prediabetes. which increases a person's risk of developing type 2 diabetes, heart diseases, and stroke. So it is really, really, important to draw your attention that your youth does not protect you from getting these predisposed to these diseases. And then generally we are going to look into what are the causes and then how we can actually improve that. So this report shows that the life expectancies in America and in developing countries are decreasing. And then there are certain reasons for those. One is chronic diseases. Overall, 2/3 of all deaths in the United States in a year are from these chronic diseases. What are those? Cancer, diabetes, strokes, like pulmonary diseases. So, we have to be really careful about these. And then although the pollution is not, environmental factors are not that much of a big deal in the US and developing countries, but the developing countries and underdeveloped countries, the air pollution are the #1 killers. And obesity, drug overdose, suicide, and then tobacco use increasing in youth, actually also triggering the premature death or premature diseases in our youth today. So this is an alarming, actually, table. It shows that it's a good news is that all the technologies, all the drugs, the medicine actually is decreasing since the 2010. As you can see, it's decreasing. This is the blue line, decreasing the death rate. So we are doing a good job in decreasing the death rate, but it's around 10% since 2000. In 10 years, we were able to reduce maybe around 10%. However, the alarming part of this, as you can see, although the death rate is decreasing, the absolute number of the deaths from the cancer are increasing. What does that mean? It means that we are having more people diagnosed with the cancer. Although we are really decreasing the death rate, the numbers are increasing. So this is alarming, and basically part of it is our lifestyle, the way that we choose how to eat is affecting all these things, and then we are going to be going into more details. So today, if you look at the chronic diseases, people over age 50 or 60, 60% of adults will have one chronic diseases after the 50 years old, and 40% will have 2 or more of these diseases. So as we talk, what are these chronic diseases? Heart diseases, cancer, chronic lung diseases, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and chronic kidney diseases. So how that changes, with a little bit more ages, around 60, 65, these numbers goes from 60% to 80%. One diseases, for 2 diseases, it goes 70%. So majority of our health expenses goes into these treating these chronic diseases. However, many of these diseases are basically because of our lifestyle and then our eating habits, and then we will look into that shortly. Today I started all with the bad news, and then I'm going to continue, and then I promise this is my last slide telling you the bad news, and we are going to go to the good news. So we have a brand new chronic disease today. According to a study done, over 6,000 people in America published by Vanderbilt University, there is a new chronic disease, and the name of this disease is sitting disease. According to this study, majority of Americans, more than 50%, I think 55 to 60% of Americans today have a sedentary behavior such as sitting over 7 hours in their life. I mean, can you imagine if you sleep 8 hours, right? And you have 24 hours, out of 16 hours, that wake time, 7.5 hours, almost 8 hours, almost 50% or almost 60% of the time, we are sitting today. And then what is the implication of the sitting disease? It seems like, especially it's hitting the females harder, and the people who are sitting 6 hours or more, if you're a female, you have a 94% more chance to die from a chronic diseases. So if you're a male, The scientists do not know why, but that almost reduced by half. And then the men has almost 50% chance of dying if they are sitting 6 hours on a day regularly. So this is an alarming, numbers. So we have to be very careful about our lifestyle. Okay, so after all these bad newses, what is the good news? The good news is, like the public health scientists look into how we can actually improve our lifestyle. And then they started this Blue Zone project. It started, I believe, Harvard and MIT. And they looked into all over the world, finding the groups and the peoples who are living longer. And fortunately, we find, quite a bit of groups of people, like isolated group of people are living longer. One is Okinawa, Japan. The other one is Ikaria, Greece, Sardinia, Italy, Costa Rica, Nicola in Costa Rica, and Loma Linda here in California. So they actually live longer. The higher number of centenarian, which is people who live 100 and over, and then healthy. So many of these people, you see that they didn't see the doctor until they are age 70 or 80 years old. So one of the questions is, are they really healthy? Yes, they are really healthy compared to their people that they live around, and then also compared to world. So this table shows, the per thousand, how many people gets heart diseases in the three groups. Okinawan in black, only 33 in per thousand, and if it's a male. And in Japan, this is around 50, which is the white, so almost half. And then if you look at the Americans, it's alarming, fourfold higher than the Japanese that we get heart diseases. Okay, and then for the Okinawans, this actually already like sixfold lower. And then all the other diseases, again, you can see that cancer, prostate and breast cancer, they're all like 6 to 7-fold differences between the American and Okinawans, and then almost double by the Japanese and Okinawan. So people thought that, this could be genetics, right? And then that's likely that everyone can think of, it's a genetic. And then there are actually lots of people talks about the genetics, and then genes are important. Inheritance of the good genes is one of the best things that you can have in your life. And however, the good genes does not make sure that or ensure that you will have a better and healthier life. So if you look at the new generations in Okinawa, where one of the healthiest people live, actually the westernization is the cause of the shortening the longevity and then the health advantage of the Okinawan. And then that's basically their lifestyle is giving them, in addition to their genes. And then we are going to see in the future, these genes actually can be turned on and then turned off based on these different conditions. And so diet is one of them. Actually, you can turn on and then off certain genes in your body. So let's look at, to get much closer to America and look at the Loma Linda, California, where the Seventh-day Adventist is a very strict Christian group that lives in California, and then how they are doing. It's very, very amazing, actually. If you look at this, the heart rate, in Adventist men are 66% lower compared to American people living in California. And almost none of the women, okay, so heart diseases are less in general in women, but if you look at the Seventh-day Adventists, their women almost don't see any heart diseases. Their breast cancer is 85% lower than the Californians. Their colorectal cancer is 62% lower. And, and then these people are the same people that lives in California. They have the same genes. They have the same environment. They must be doing something, right, to get something like this. It's amazing. So what do? The certain things they do in common And I'm not going to go in detail what the Seventh-day Adventists do, but we are going to look at what these public health scientists discovered when they look at these blue zone groups that living longer. Okay, so they have commonalities. First of all, they move naturally. So what does that mean, move naturally? They do sport, yes, they do, but majority of their sport is like working in the backyard. Like we generally say, oh, my father-in-law or my grandfather lived until 90, right? But as when they're young, they work almost like 8 to 10 hours in the field in their backyard, and then they're always moving, even though they ate maybe like really unhealthy food. Their body was able to digest that. Their body able to and then needed maybe their body. But today they have a very sedentary lifestyle. Our body actually, one of the problems is the lack of activity. So we have to really move. If we are not moving that much, then we have to try to encourage us. So the second is purpose. So it's very interesting. These people, every day, they start their life to connect with a higher being, and then talk about their purpose with God. So and then every day they have a purpose to live, and not only every day, but as a whole, why they are living their life. And it is very, very important, especially Seventh-day Adventists. Being a very Christian, religious-based group, they're able to carry nations, and then you see that their generations are also very healthy. Second, the purpose, I think, is really, really important, and then it gives a perspective why you want to live that day, why you want to be healthy that day, why you want to be productive that day. And the third thing is a downshift. So these people, as you know, or as you all know, we have a very busy life, especially our youth. I have 2 teenagers as well myself. I see them, they're busier than me. Why? Why they're busier than me? Because they are dealing with many things that we have not dealt before. Okay? So, it's really important for us, regardless of our ages, to have a downshift in our life. What is the downshift? Downshift is where sacred time for you that you put aside, and then basically that time is for you, and then for to remember your purpose, for you to connect with God, and then get out of the stress. We are going to see in a couple of slides later, stress is one of the biggest things. And then having a downshift, having putting everything behind and connecting God, and then connecting with your purpose, and connecting with the good memories, actually, it's a very important. And then in our life, the Seventh-day Adventists, actually, they have instituted prayer times throughout the days. So we have actually in our religion, as Muslim, we have 5 times a day, right? And those times should be very sacred, very important for us. And then it should serve the meaning, which is putting the worldly affairs behind us, and then connecting with inner ourselves, connecting with God. So, this is very important as well. The 80% rule, again, another rule that, Prophet Muhammad suggested to us, which is, fill your stomach with 1/3 food, 1/3 with air, 1/3 with water. So 80% rule, these people meaning that, never actually ate to fool yourself. Fool themselves, to fool their stomach. So, you have to leave some space in your stomach every time you eat, and then never eat if you're not hungry. So, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th is plant slant. So basically, these people eat not much meat, not much, the dairy product. Generally, they eat, what God gave them, from the earth, from the plant, from the soil. This is really important. And then Seventh-day Adventists actually base this from certain verses from the Bible. And in the Bible, I do not know which verses right now, but it mentioned that, they eat mainly what comes from the trees and then plants for you. And then they following that rule, and then they don't eat as much meat and then dairy food. And then that actually has been shown among the Adventists. There are a group of people who are eating more meat and then more dairy product, and then they do not get that much benefit in their life, like the cancer rate or the other diseases. So this seems like very important. And then they drink wine at 5, and then many actually ask about the wine at 5, like what is this? It's basically, as you know, it's not the wine itself, it's the antioxidant inside. So eating a handful of blueberries or berries will do much better at drinking a wine at 5 o'clock. And then there are so many other studies that wine is not good. And then guess what? Seventh-day Adventists, you will see this here right now. That's why I want to show you. Actually, things to abstain from, Seventh-day Adventists abstain from alcohol, tobacco, meat, okay? So it is very interesting. Okay, so there are commonalities, but like the certain religious group, as you can see, they have differed, and then one on alcohol for the Seventh Adventists. Okay, the right tribe. So it shows that it's very, very important to have a group of people, like-minded people, and be among them. And then we have actually one of the Sayyidina Umar saying, which is, tell me your friend, I'll tell you who you are. And it seems like, these people generally hang out with the right people to bring them happiness, okay? And that is one of the key for these people to live longer and happy. Happiness is, also part of this, quality of life, as you know. So loved one first. So this is an interesting one. In the busy life, we sometimes, do not have time to connect with our loved ones, even with our parents. But this study shows that the people who puts their family first, even beyond their job, even beyond their, the monetary financial issues, actually live longer and healthier. So because of that, you will see in this group of people very close-knit societies, they're living with their parents, visiting them, or seeing them every day, having a time for their parents, for their, the loved one in their life. The last one is belonging. What is the belonging? Belonging is such that they belong into a faith group, whatever it is. It could be Abrahamic religion, it could be, something, but they belong into a system, what they call it, a disciplined, the religious belief, whatever it is. And then they feel they belong to that group, and then they actually act and they follow the rules very strictly, generally, okay, speaking. So this is actually the commonalities from these project zone, the groups, and and then this is actually a prevalent study that people are right now trying to see how they can use this study. And the way that they use this study, they actually said that, okay, these people might be they having this recipe. So if we take that recipe and then take it and then apply somewhere else, do you think that we can actually achieve similar results? And the Harvard School of Public Health professor, Dr. Walter, said that, the results are stunning. They did small towns. They went to small towns. One is Spencer, Iowa, for instance. The other one, Albert Lee, Minnesota. And then they took their commonalities, and then over the years, they tried to implement in these. How? They actually, put the bicycle roads and then tell people they, okay, if you use your bicycle, we are going to give you incentive, and then they try to, to provide cheaper, healthier food for them. They try to ban, they try to bring alternative, healthier food for them. And, they give them time to, 5 minutes, 10 minutes in a day, different times, go and then have your sacred alone time, which is a downshift, those kind of stuff. So, whatever we just heard, the commonalities, they try to implement that. So what happened? The health expenses reduced by 50% in 2 or 3 years in these societies, showing that people are getting healthier, people are getting less, sick, and then their body mass index, which is the obesity, like they also decreasing incredibly. So it seems like this is a recipe that it's working. Okay, so another proof that it's working. Actually, Dr. Dean Ornish brought up a program. It's a camp, more or less, or it's a program that actually he said that like I can reverse the heart diseases. Nobody believed in him first, especially the insurances will not cover something like that, right? But he has scientifically proven that his program reversed the heart disease, and as an integrative medicine, Medicare is a very, people who are in the healthcare in America would know Medicare will not support something like this at all. But seeing the scientific result, Medicare is now actually supporting these and then paying for people who are going and then enlisting themselves to these camps, and then basically to change their lifestyle such so that they can reverse their diseases, is a heart disease or like the cancer even. So in this program, more or less what they did is summarize these commonalities. They changed the people diets, they help them how they manage their stress, and they increase their how much they move, like activity basically, it's gone. So then the fourth one, they improve the love and support they have around. So when we talk about belonging, when we talk about tribes, when we talk about purpose, right? These are all how much love, how much support you will have, like from around the people around from the people around you. So this is actually amazing, and then has been shown that scientifically we are able to use an integrated medicine other than the orthodox medicine's pills, which they dictate to us use, or the orthodox medicine. We have to understand that everything cannot be fixed by pills, and majority of the time, pills only like alleviate your symptoms. It does not cure. So like we need in medicine something to cure rather than, or reverse the diseases or prevent the diseases before it starts, rather than like the deferring the symptoms. Okay, so we are going to talk a little bit about like the recipe for a long and healthy life. So basically, the first one is changing your diet. The second is managing stress better. The third is increase the love and support around you. The fourth is increase physical activity. And then fifth is train your body to heal itself. Yes, I think, like I'm going to be spending much more time in the training your body to heal itself or prevent diseases. And we'll just go in a minute. Okay. And then I'm not going to spend that much time increase the love and support, increase physical activity, part of it, but, like we'll touch base as well. So the first one is changing your diet. So if you look at these communities, what do they eat? They have a very, their diet is known as the healthiest diet. And then they're plant-based. It's just called plant-based whole food diet, or PBWF. And then what is this diet? It includes lots of greens, leafy, like the very green, dark green vegetables, okay? Like kale, like spinach, like collard, okay? Like the lettuce, okay? So in the second, the rainbow vegetables and then fruits, okay? So eat as much as you want to eat from these two groups. So where do you get your proteins? Mainly from the legumes, beans, like the beans, and then chickpeas, and then those kinds of lentils, right? So we eat, like some healthy nuts. I'll give you an example. For instance, in Spain, they did actually give a group of people walnut to eat every day, a handful, and then other group did not eat. So what they find out after 5 years, the people who are eating walnut has less heart diseases. So it just basically shows that, like the certain food can be medicine actually, or preventive for your health. So, like microgreens, like seaweeds are really important, wheatgrass, like the herbal medicine parsley is an herbal medicine. The arugula is an herbal medicine. So these are all, if you eat them consistently and a part of your diet, they become actually constant medicine that gets into your body like a pill every day. So and then the key here is to eat very little oil. And then there is a whole different reason why very little oil. So today I'm just going to give you the envelope of this. Unfortunately, in the essence of the time, I'm not going to be able to get in the details, but if you guys would like, we can do another session, and then I'll get into details or how we can eat, what we should eat, when we should eat, and then how we should eat, and then what are the scientific background of all these things in another lecture. Okay, so it is very important to understand that actually this is a known fact that our food are medicine for us. And then Hippocrates, thousands years ago, he told us that let food be the medicine, and medicine be thy food. So basically, this is very important. And then don't forget this: the take-home message, something that what you eat should be a medicine for you rather than a poison. And then the Anne Meadmore is an early actually activist, food activist, and her nutritionist as well. So I really like her quote. It says, "The food you eat can be either the safest, most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison." So this is very important. And the foods that we are eating today, especially the processed foods, okay, is designed, engineered to increase your happiness, okay? The serotonin actually is released when you eat these foods, and then it makes you happy. It's engineered for you to eat more and then want more, but they are very, very bad for you, okay? But the food, the real food, that it's really, the nurturing your body, not only nurturing your body, prevent diseases, but also able to reverse diseases. Dean Ornish did one of the earliest studies with the prostate cancer. And then in the 1990s, actually, he demonstrated that early stage cancers comes with a, the PSA level of 6.4, and then, the diagnostic imaging showed the tumor. When they changed their diet based on what I just showed you, what kind of diet that they need to eat. And after a year, these patients, the cancer markers lowered by at least by half to 4 milligram per milliliter from the 6.5, and then they shrank, as you can see. So this is only done by changing your diet. And then similarly, another study from the Cleveland Clinic, which is known as one of the premier heart disease center, this is a study shows that perfusion study shows that how much blood is going through your arteries. Okay, so the gray here, it means that you have a blockage. After you change your diet, 3 years later, as you can see, the blockage is reduced, and then your blood flow is restored. And then this image, actually an X-ray image, show that the blood the arteries is blocked, right? After 3 years, it's restored, and then it's healed itself. This is amazing. I mean, no medicine, no pill can do this today, okay? This is the power of food, power of lifestyle. And that can be done only, and it has been in the scientific literature only shown to be done by, integrative medicine, which is, the mainly lifestyle changes, diet changes, okay? So, similarly, diabetes. I mean, I have, the examples of the people that I help with that they changed their lifestyle, and then they actually were able to reverse their diabetes. They had diabetes, 2 patients, but when they changed their lifestyle and then the eating habit, doctors were amazed actually with the result. And then they asked, well, how did you do? And then they said, simply we change our diet, right? So it is very important. And then, sometimes we take it as granted again, thinking that all these foods should be, tasting the, engineered food that like makes us happy and then makes us want to eat more. But again, I'm repeating, those are unfortunately poisons, and then you just poison yourself slowly. And when you reach certain age, unfortunately, your body is not going to be able to take it anymore, and then it's going to start having all these diseases. So what the Quran says about these foods, right? And then how we should eat. And then as we know, in the Quran, it tells us to eat for halal food, right? So everybody knows the halal food. We know that we have to eat the halal food. But, like in the Quran, whenever God talks about food, not only he talks about lawful, which is halal, but also he talks about good, okay? So what is good? The definition of good. And then many of us today, we know what is the definition of lawful or halal, right? Because, like our parents taught us, this is not halal, this is halal. And then but we don't know what is good, right? And the Quran says good because, when you eat a food, it has to be good for your body. It has to nurture your body. And if not, then you should not be eating that food. So we have to really don't take this lightly, okay? The Quran only not says halal. The Quran, whenever it says halal and food, it says not only halal, but also it says good. In many other places, does not only say, it does not even say halal. It says good. For instance, the Surah Taha in 81, verse 81, God says, eat of the good things. It doesn't say halal. Be careful. It says, eat of the good things. We have provided you for your sustenance. Okay? So Allah has provided you for the sustenance, not for the leisure. But commit no excess therein. If you commit no excess therein, lest my wrath should justly descend on you, and those on whom descends my wrath do perish indeed. So be careful. I would like to point out something very interesting, that God talks about the food and then tells us do not go excess, don't go overboard. If you go overboard, Allah says that his punishment will be very, very severe. And then today, my interpretation is that so many diseases, especially the chronic diseases, comes from the eating is our punishment, because we are indulging in the food, but we don't really understand, we don't really follow the message or the order in the Quran that we have to eat the good things. Okay. Okay, so we come to manage stress better. So again, I'm going to be talking about a study which is done by the European Society of Cardiology, over 80,000 people over 8 years. What they did is very simple. And then you can do, as I'm telling you, the study right now to yourself, okay? So let's start. First, the question was, how much stress did you experience in the last year? Okay, so the choices are very high, medium, very low. Okay, everybody has stress, so that's why there's no stress, right? So the high, medium, and low stress. So this is the first question, and then you answer the second question. Do you believe the stress is bad for you, right? We know that stress is an enemy. Okay? So what they did is they went back and they look at the death record, for who died. Okay? So what did they find out? Very interesting. And so for those people who said that I had a very high stress within the last year, I have a bad news. Okay? So you have a chance of dying, the increased chance of dying, 43% increased risk of dying next year. That's the bad news if you had a very high risk. But the good news is that the people who had a high stress but did not believe that stress is harmful, they did not experience the same thing. Okay? So what this study tells us that the people did not die from the stress. I'm stressing again. Okay? People did not die from the stress. What did they die from? They died from believing that stress is bad for you. Okay? It's very interesting, huh? So, if you have a stress, don't believe that it is your enemy. Don't believe that it is bad. So you actually have a better chance of surviving and then improving yourself and then health. Okay? So the reason is this: stress is not given to you to kill you. Stress is given to you to improve you. Stress is given to you for you to excel. Stress is given to you so that you can actually improve your qualities, like your resistance to do bad things coming into your body. Okay, that's the mechanism. So like what happens in your body when you have a stress, there is a hormone called cortisol is released. That cortisol actually what makes it prepares your body for the dangers coming from outside, and then it alerts you. That's the whole purpose of that. But within that, you lose certain abilities. You lose, like thinking logically. You lose, because your heart palpating, like so fast. Okay. So if you know the stress is not bad for you, these actually are stressed or suppressed, and then your body knows that this is a normal thing. Your body knows that, like you can manage things, and then it just basically helps you. So the study actually done at the Harvard on students, they impose on the students stress, and then they gave them a test. They failed. They actually improved their, like they told them that stress is, like really good for them, like they prepare them why this stress is, like they scientifically show them that stress is good for them, and then they gave they gave them similar stress, maybe higher stress to the students, and then they give them a test, and then they were actually more successful. So there are so many studies showing that stress is not your enemy but your friend. Okay, so that's what we have to understand. So this is a whole different topic and subject, but we don't have time to go in more details than this. But I think the message is already like that, already there. Okay, so the last one is train your body to heal itself. Okay, so let's look at that. So I don't know if anybody heard autophagy. Autophagy is a Latin word, and then auto means, as you know, automatic, and phagy means killing or eating, and then autophagy becomes the self-eating cells. So our body, like everything that God created, maintains a homeostasis, which is the equilibrium or normal functioning. To be able to do that, what it does is actually kills maybe 350 billion cells in a day in your body and then reproduce those things. It's amazing, okay? Why it does that? Because, it needs to stay healthier, and it has to stay healthier, and then it needs to survive. That's why it's doing it, okay? But it's a very interesting mechanism in there that, we can take it if we know, understand, and then we can use it to train ourselves to go and find those cancerous cells, to find those disease cells, and then, eat them. And then as such, we can not only reverse, but also prevent, the diseases coming and finding us. So we are actually in 2006, Yoshinori Oshumi, who was studying this mechanism in yeast, which is a very simple organism, for 15, 16 years, finally showed, that is the same mechanism in the human beings are happening. This is the autophagy. And that it could be, it could be our answers, like the dad God said that I created no disease that I did not provide the solution or the cure. So this could be actually one of those cure. And then people are today doing tons of studies to see, if this autophagy could play a role in all these chronic diseases, immunological diseases like lupus, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer, Parkinson's, aging, you can name it. And then it seems like this is actually might be something. So let's look at a little bit in detail. I don't know if you have a biology major among you, but this is my understanding as a physicist. Cell has many organelles, and then these all have different roles. and one of them is lysosome. Lysosome is known as recycler or janitor. Okay, its job is taking what is waste and then eating those. Okay, but it's not only eating those. Apparently, it does something very interesting as well. So when it eats these things, okay, what does it eat? It eats all the damaged cells part. It eats all the pathogens, which is, like the threats that comes from outside, all the bacteria, microbes, and then all these viruses, right, gets into your cell. And then misfolded proteins, which are actually is very important in the next cycles of your cell. And then if these are damaged and then misfolded, then you might have, your cell might lose its functions. If it's a liver cell, it doesn't become a liver cell when it's divided anymore, okay? So it's very important to eat those things so that, it won't replicate, and then you will have a cancer cells in your body, okay? It eats those things and then converts into the free fatty acid and an amino acid. You know what these are? These are what the same things that you get from the food when you eat, okay? So your lysosome does a great job, an incredible job, eating all these, the things to protect your body, but then, you create all these food to fuel your body and then remodel yourself. And then, how this happens or when it is activated? This is not activated to work like this until you starve your body, which is a fasting. It's amazing. Until you starve your body, this does not happen, okay? So what we need to do is find out, what kind of fasting it will do this, okay? It's not only the every fasting, we'll see that as well. Okay, so we said that best form of today, people are looking into fasting as the best form of preventive medicine. It actually reduce oxidative stress, reduce emotional stress, reduce aging, reduce immune system, the problems, increase your immune system, they increase your cancer, fight, your body's fight against cancer, and then also prevent cancer. And then these are tons of studies, and then we are going to look a couple of them right now. This study is from University of South Carolina, one of the premier scientific institutions in the United States. What they did is they took two groups of mice. The first mice group, they fasted 48 hours. They did not give food, or they give very reduced calorie food. And then the other group, they allowed them to feed regularly. And then they gave them enough chemotherapy, which is a poison, as you know, to kill them within 1 week. Okay, within 1 week, you would expect these animals will die, regardless of their diet. But what happened is very interesting. What they find out is something called differential stress resistance. What does that mean? The group that fasted has a very unique reaction that they survived the chemotherapy while the other animals died within 2 days or 3 days. The other ones were like 3 days, 4 days later, as if everything was normal. Okay? So why? When they went and they look at it, what they saw is the protective genes in their normal organs, heart, liver, muscles, okay? They all were activated, okay? So this is before fasting. If it's a red, it means that it is activated. What are these protective genes? Do you remember in the beginning what I told you guys? The genes are important, but certain things you can turn on and off your genes. And then this is one of them, okay? So this is not only that, right? So what does protection of the genes mean? It means that, when you give a poison into your body, like a chemotherapy, what will happen is your body will have less fatigue, the threefold, as you can see. The body is going to be less weak, okay? The hair loss is going to be low. Nausea, vomiting, mainly all the, the effects of the chemotherapy, you are going to start seeing it lower. And then this is like not 10% lower, 30%. That is like 2-3-fold lower. It's amazing. And then what happens to the cancer? What happens to the cancer is the totally reverse. The genes that protect the cells is turned off. As such, the cancers get killed at a much higher rate. As such, you will get much more effect of the therapy to kill the cancer, but also protecting your body. It's amazing. So there are, like the fasting becoming very popular right now among, like the across the, like different groups. The people who are actually training, like the people who are want to have a healthy life, the people who have a productive life. In the San Francisco area, there are lots of COOs actually, that they do intermittent fasting or some sort of fasting in their life to get more productive, more healthier, and then basically more aware and then more alert and more productive. Okay, so one is intermittent fasting, and then it is generally adopted currently by bodybuilders and then training people who are training as well. So one is you basically do not eat before 12 p.m. in the morning, and then you include a very moderate aerobic exercise routine for yourself. You can drink tea or coffee, and then after 12 p.m. you can eat whatever you want to eat, like within certain limit, but like within the what we have shown you before. Although I'm not advocating eating lots of animal product, but there is some here as well. And then after 8 p.m., don't eat anything. Okay. So many people thinks that, like this is not going to work, but guess what? It works actually. The people who are eating less, they can actually train their bodies to be the world's most, the world's lifting champion. So this guy meditates in a day at least 1 hour to 2 hours, eat only one meal a day in the evening around 5 o'clock, okay? And then only calories that he takes is around 2,000 calories. And then he is currently the champion of deadlifting, like the people who are doing weight exercises would know that what is deadlifting. But this guy is currently the champion of the deadlifting by living a life that more or less I just described or common in the Blue Zone Project. So other popular fasting is 5-2 fasting, and then this is actually made famous by a nutritionist and then journalist in Britain, and then adopted by Hollywood people as well, because it allows you to eat whatever you want to eat in 5 days and then only fast 2 days. Okay, and the person who actually came up with this idea, he's a very very generous man, and then honest man, accepting that he saw this from the Muslims, and he said that since they fast Monday and Thursday, I suggest you guys fast Monday and Thursday as well. So he believed that there is some wisdom in it. Why is Monday and Thursday as well? So that's what he suggested. And guess what? He suggested one more thing. He said that, on these days, you have to reduce your calories if you're a female to 500, if you're a male to 600. What does that mean? A cup of soup, a salad, maybe a date, okay? So more or less, if you like this, maybe you remember what is this? Well, this is exactly how the Prophet Muhammad SAW used to fast, okay? He didn't eat too much, when he was fasting, and then other times as well. So it's amazing, and the world is coming back to, more or less accepting the norms that is very difficult for us to do, like that Prophet Muhammad SAW advised us to do, to find the health and then to find the inner peace. Okay, so of course, what is logic, right? The Muslim scientists finding out that, fasting is really, really, getting popular. Let's do a study to show that Ramadan fasting is also very healthy for people. Do you think that what they find out is supporting that? Not really. So what they find out is the people who fast is 1 month, they increase their body weight, they increase their lipid peroxidation and oxidative stress. As such, their markers to show that they're unhealthy is increased after a fast of month. Right? Why is that? Because we today do not fast according to how we should fast, or according to how, as a role model, Prophet Muhammad SAW fasted, which is decreased his intake of food during the Ramadan although it was, like already very low during the regular time. Okay, so this is a key, actually, hitting point. So, I would like to stress that today is where we are. Science is showing us fasting is, as prescribed by the religion of Islam, is the healthiest. But the way that you're doing it is ruining not only your body, maybe your spiritual being as well, because indulging the food is also not leaving enough room to connecting with your inner self, and then also with your creator. So let's look at the fasting in the Abrahamic religions. As you might know, in every religion there is some sort of fasting, okay? And then in Torah, in the Bible especially, there are areas that, they commented on the fasting. One is that the Moses was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights without eating bread and drinking water. So the many Christians knows this, that the Moses did not eat 40 days before meeting the God, which is fasted. And in the old times, there were priests actually following this, that they did not fast for 40 days, and then revolved into the fasting and the idea of giving up only one thing today for 40 days. Okay, so the other thing is that when I was doing the studies, that it surprised me in the Bible, in Luke 18:12, it says, Jesus says, I fast twice a week and give a tenth of all I get. So it is it's not only a wisdom that fasting a couple of days in a week is good, but also religious background is mostly in all other religions, apparently, even though it's in the Bible, changed quite a bit. It's still there, fasting twice a week and then giving the zakat. Okay, so I don't have to talk about much, but Quran obviously in many places, they give the advice to fasting, and then the most important thing is actually the fasting is not only the physical benefit, but mostly when you look at it, it is the spiritual benefit. Okay. So in the Bible, it says fast because then you can devote yourself to prayer. Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. And similarly, again, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, meaning that Moses has to fast to purify himself to receive the Ten Commandments. Okay, and then in the Quran also, the all you have believed decreed upon you is fasting, as it was decreed upon those before you, that you may become righteous. So in the Quran, in the Hadith, in the different religions, they all point out the worldly benefit. I'm sorry, spiritual benefit rather than the worldly benefit. But the story is this, as you might, many of you guys heard of. One of these days, once in a time, there was a king, and then he put a big rock in the middle of the road. And then he said, let's see who's going to be moving it. He thought that, some of the, the spiritual people around him will remove it because it's sadaqah. It's a good thing to do, right? So his vizier went, and then he did not move. He thought, I can just basically do something about this. And then, and then his his other people around him, they went ahead, and then they said, I'll tell this to move it, maybe do a rule to move it, and then all these kind of things. People all find, different excuses. And then finally, a peasant came, a poor man came, and then saw the, rock. And then he said, I need to move this, because it's a sadaqah, it's a good thing, other people, are not able to use this rock. So he actually worked very hard. It was very big rock. And then finally it moved, right? And then what he saw is a big box of, gold. And then it's a lot of the gold. And then he was like, who left us here? And then, of course, the king shows up there, and then he said, it is you. I was testing my people. So the whole idea is this. Allah has given us, some of these things very hard on our body or our nafs, to do, like that rock to move. But okay, most likely we are not going to really know until we move, until we really do that. Okay, the goals, the benefits under it. So the main benefit is we are doing these things because God ordered us, and then we actually increase our, our being, okay, and our, like becoming a righteous person. But there are, when the rocks goes away, there's worldly benefits as well, and then that benefit is a healthy and long life. Okay, so that is the message. And then if you look at like the life of the prophet, generally we talk about the like the I get these, since I do really an avid learner about the foods and then diets and then healthy lifestyle. I get lots of questions. I have this, how I can fix. There's no easy fix. We are basically people that wants the easy fix for that. But the fix is actually comes from a whole change of lifestyle. And then that lifestyle is exactly how the prophet, peace be upon him, lived. He basically advised that eating less, okay, and then fasting a lot. If you look at his life, he actually fasted maybe half of his life, and then to be an example, okay. So I think like we need to start adopting, like what science is telling us today, how to fast and then how to be healthy, and actually is back in our codes, in our like the religion as well. And then we have to find those things and then start doing it right. Okay. So this is a proverb, the Egyptian proverb that I like, and then it is quite correct, and then I like it. 1/4 of what you eat keeps you alive. The other 3/4 keeps your doctor alive. And then it's unfortunately it is true, because all the unfortunately 2/3 of all our deaths happens from the chronic diseases, and then they're all eating diseases. Okay, so we have to be careful about that. Okay, so finally we came to final slides. Take your body as your temple. Okay, because good health ensures independence, security, and productivity for a long term. What matters to you, okay, by how you're feeding your body, how you're treating your body, which is your temple, it shows what matters to you the most, whether instant gratification or long-term health and happiness and productivity. It shows the discipline, consistency, and it speaks volumes about your relationship you have with yourself. After all, you are what you eat, don't forget, okay? Second, you are a reflection of how you invest your time. The activities you call your own are the most powerful indicator your priorities as a person. Look at today, unfortunately, majority of us, not only youth, okay, majority of us having a more relationship with our cell phones, our social media than people around us. That's one thing that we have to really, really stop, and then really limit or put certain limits around it. Do you spend your time working on yourself, or do you squander it trying to remain distracted from the things that truly matter? So social media, unfortunately, the phones, like the computers became something that we escape. Even I see, like the people, students, when they're listening something important, they go and then just, like surf the web. So that actually shows that they don't spend time to working on the really important thing, that what matter, even when they have to, during, right? When you're in a class, when you're in doing something really important, you have to pay attention. But if your attention goes more onto the social media and then thinking other stuff, then it's just really just, like an alarming point that you have to fix it. Don't forget, this is really important, okay? Don't forget, a hand reaching out to help others is indeed a hand you extend to reach out to yourself. It has been shown that people who are living healthier and happier are the ones that actually help someone tremendously in their lifetime. Okay, there was another study that I did not share with you is about helping. So the same stress study asked people another question. They said, within the last year, did you help someone? The choices at a crucial level, somewhat, not. Okay? The people who helped someone at a crucial level had less chance of dying, even though they have very high stress. It is a fact that helping others help actually us first. So don't forget, when you reach a hand out to help other, is indeed that hand is reaching out to yourself. Okay, and is proven way to make you live longer and healthier. The last and not the least, you are the reflection of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Who we associate with speaks volume about our outlook on life, our beliefs, our goals, and what we find most important in life. Did you know that what they find out, obese people or people who have a chronic diseases tend to associate with those people that in life they will have a higher chance of associating chronic diseases, right? Because why? It's very, very, like the obvious, right? Because you're going to be actually resembling them. You're going to be, like doing the things that actually they are going to be doing, which is not going to be healthy for you. Okay, if you want to meet the right people, hang around the right people. And if you want to improve yourself, spend time with people who value self-improvement. Okay, so I will end my talk with a phrase that actually will be on the beginning of my book that I started but did not go anywhere yet. I have only the first page, and the first page says this: subjecting yourself to self-imposed discipline is the surest way to increase your earthly as well as external existence. Thank you so much for listening. I know I made it a little longer than it was given to me as a time. I would be happy if you have time, take some questions.
Yeah, so we do have a couple questions. So starting off with one says, you mentioned purpose for healthy living,
Yes.
But in Ramadan, I don't want to do anything. Is it normal? I'm always at home and sleeping most of the time. What should I do?
Change your attitude. Ramadan is given to you to actually increase your self-discipline, increase your productivity. And then when your body is actually having a less food, okay, and then if you do accordingly, right, don't indulge yourself to food, you will see that your power to do things, it will increase, okay? So I gotta be honest, I only eat a soup, a salad, and then date, and then maybe a small beans dish, like the first for iftar. My sahur is, like a small dish of oatmeal, okay? And then many times, basically, even just the water. And then I feel so much energetic. I feel so much, like the concentrated. It is, like one is our mental setting. Second is our diet. Like unless you change your diet, you're not going to be able to fix the things. If you eat lots of your food in the sahur thinking that you're going to be very hungry during the day, you're going to be very hungry. You're going to be sleepy. And, unfortunately, this is a vicious cycle that we are in. And then that is why this study showed that people, like during the Ramadan, Muslim people they get not healthier, they get worse. Okay. So it is all in you. You have to show is basically right here. The answer is right here in front of you right now. Subjecting yourself to self-imposed discipline is the surest way to increase your earthly as well as external existence, my friend. I hope it answers your question. It's in you. Nobody can help you with that.
Very well said. Another question is, they agree that feeding your body is the right source of nutrients is important, but how much of my daily life should I devote to exercising?
Okay. So generally speaking, many of the Blue Zone Project people work maybe a good like 2-3 hours in some sort, right? Not very like the intensive, right? So when we go to exercise, do intensive things. And then I'll tell you this much. Yes, like in the beginning, many of our have a problem of we do from the beginning very intensive workouts, right? And then don't do that to yourself. Half an hour, starting, it should be okay. If you can exceed, if you can extend that to an hour, and then it's a moderate. Don't do too much because those extensive workouts, if your body is not ready, is actually putting lots of stress, emotional stress or physical stress. They find out that it's very, very similar. And if your body is not ready, you're not doing the scientifically, let's put it that way. If you're doing that scientifically and then you're actually stressing your body with extensive stress, with weightlifting, with, like the cardios, that creates a constant stress in your body. And then when something becomes chronic stress, that is the danger. Your body is able to take care of, acute, stresses. It comes and then you deal with it, you put it away, right? So, for instance, like you did very, very high stress cardio today. If you hit it tomorrow, if you hit it the third day, your body is going to be always a stress level, and then that creates a chronic stress in your body, and then it's not good. So, to start with half an hour, then moderate like 1 hour, then if you want to do professionally, learn the science of it, and then do it scientifically under the control of someone. Otherwise, you're not doing a good thing for yourself. You're just basically stressing your body to actually fail at one point.
Very nice. So there's one more question. It's in Turkish, but I don't know how well I can translate. Should I ask it in Turkish or try my best?
You can ask Turkish, and then I'll try to answer it.
All right. So they says, benim PB diyetle ilgili sorum var. 40 gün et yemeğinin kudretinin sıkıntı olacağı manasındaki hadisi düşününce tamamen PB diyeti takip etmek ne kadar doğru olur? That's a question.
Yani, okay, so the question is, I'm not sure if that, I need to go check that hadith, but, it is advised, like in many schools that, you should not exceed your animal intake more than 40 days. And then actually the first thing is advised to have maybe up to 40 days of abstaining yourself from animals food and, to increase your spiritual being in a connection with God. And then after that, I think there is some hadiths that say, don't exceed the 40 days, and that's not good for you as well. So, did we lose the YouTube? Or
no,
sharing?
No, on sharing.
I think we might have lost the screen sharing. Yeah.
Okay.
But we still have our YouTube.
Okay. So, I need to tell you my how I'm doing it. So I do strictly or for a long time I did strictly whole food plant-based diet, but as it's mentioned in that hadith, every 40 days or every other week or every third week I ate some small piece of fish. Like maybe every couple of months I ate small dish of like the meat or like the cheese, those kind of stuff. So those are not going to really affect. And then if we have something like that and then we believe in that, those hadiths, I don't know how strong it is, but it just if you feel that that is something strong talking to you, then like eating here and there fish. And then I advise to many actually, don't indulge yourself to only whole food plant-based, but if you find good wild caught fish, eat once a week. Like I suggest that. Okay, as like again, as a common rule, these people. Let's go back. Actually, let me show you. Oops. Okay. Are you guys able to see the screen?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let's look at what the seven Adventists eats. Okay. So they mainly eat generously fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Okay. So for instance, they don't eat white rice. They eat, wild rice or quinoa or, like bulgur. So things to consume moderately, low-fat dairy. They eat some low-fat dairy. Okay. So they sparingly use saturated fat. It means that, they sparingly eat, like the, butter or, like the eggs or whatever, but they abstain from meat, tobacco, and alcohol. Okay. So the other good thing that you need to look at, they reserve at least one day of a week, which is a Saturday, to rest and worship, spent in communion with God and family. Get regular exercise, fresh air, and sunshine. Okay. So, as you can see, it's just, I think you have to, the whole food based diet, like it's mainly if if you're predisposed and then have some kind of health diseases, like for instance, like I'm one of those. I really thought that I'm living healthy, and then I was advocate of healthy eating and then exercise, but I got this weird metabolic syndrome that clogs my arteries. I'm a heart patient right now, and then I have to eat that kind of diet, even though I cheat here and there. And then by this way, I would like to ask your prayers, pray for me. I'm a heart disease patient, and it's a severe heart disease. And then those people, if you have a disease that you want to prevent, you want to reverse, that you have to be very strict. But if you're young, if you're at this age, slowly change it. How you can change it is for instance. Don't eat meat every day, right? So I'll tell you this, eating meat every day, you are exposing your body into a chronic stress that nobody, especially your bodies right now, are going to be able to endure. Okay, because there are lots of junk food that our youth is eating today. Okay, and your body is under chronic stress. And the way that I would like to, let me see if I can find that. Are you able to see this? The fast food genocide?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what's happening. All the processed food is actually fast food genocide right now. We are actually killing a generation with these fast food. We are creating zombies. The friend who just asked this question that he doesn't want to do anything in the Ramadan is because of this. You just basically, your body is under a constant attack of sugary food, meat food, sugary food, and then these are proven that creates poisons in your body. Your body is able to take care of these things 6 hours. After 6 hours, your body is able to fix these things. But guess what happens? 6 hours later, you hit it again, right? Generally, you start a day with sujuk and then yumurta, the sausage and egg, and then in the lunchtime comes, you eat a gyro sandwich or chicken sandwich. In the evening, you come home, your mother prepare a lamb stew, and then you eat lamb stew. So every 6 hours that your body is able to fix things in your body, you are hitting it with another poison. And then as such, and then sugar, starchy food, processed food, and then your body cannot actually want to do anything anymore, right? It's going to be always tired. It's going to be always, because it's dealing with a poison. So how, the inflammation in your body, it causes inflammation. That's why you're feeling tired. So, when you have an inflammation, when your finger cuts, there's an inflammation. It just sizzles. It just gets red. It just hurts, right? In your body, you don't feel this, unfortunately, until it becomes a problem. It becomes a cancer. It becomes a diabetes. It becomes a heart disease. You don't feel it. That is the worst thing. That's why they call it silent killer. Okay, all these diseases are silent killer. In your body, your body is trying to able to fix these things. Every 6 hours, you're hitting your body with these foods. It's not gonna do a good for yourself. As such, we came, I don't know where we came from. We started about the 40 days thing, right? So we were talking about this, how these healthy living groups actually limits their food intake, okay? from the animal group. Okay, so let's look at this again. Okay. So another interesting thing, look at this. Among the Seventh-day Adventists, okay, all-cause mortality showed a significant positive association with high egg intake and negative association with consumption of green salads. Okay, so what does this tell you guys? Eat more greens, legumes, kidneys, beans, okay, lentils, and then reduce as much as you can reduce your animal food intake. And then this doesn't have to be cold turkey that you don't eat any animal food. Just start reducing it. Okay. I hope this will be the answer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aydogan. I think that's all the questions that we have for right now. I just want to thank you so much for your time.
I thank you for inviting me, and then thank you for our audience to listen.
Of course. Of course.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.